Kia ora. In the headlines, Prime Minister John Key suggests mandatory drug testing may need to be introduced to the tourism industry. It follows revelations of cannabis use by the pilot of the hot air balloon that crashed in Carterton and by the two skydiving masters who died in the 2010 Fox Glacier plane crash. And the Transport Accident Investigation Commission will consider whether drug use played a part in the Carterton hot air balloon tragedy. Lead investigator Ian McClellan says families of the 11 victims were told privately that the pilot tested positive for cannabis use.
There are just too many variables at this stage. We need to have the result analysed, again, independently. We need to put it in context in terms of how long the autopsy took, the results took, and also the background of the pilot himself.
There will be new rules for union members considering strike action. Parliament has passed a private members' bill that will now require such matters to be subject to a secret ballot. The Minister of Education is looking into the case of a 4-year-old whangarei boy told to leave a daycare centre because he has HIV. Hekia Parata says she is exploring what options there are to intervene with the childcare centre.
Asked the Ministry of Education in the North to meet with other relevant agencies and to discuss how we might manage and respond to this particular issue.
The Green Party has crunched some numbers which it believes prove the case against asset sales. Co-leader Russell Norman says past asset sales of BNZ, Telecom and Contact Energy prove the public has lost billions in dividends.
When you look at what they were sold for, just in nominal terms, it was about $7 billion, and then the money that went to the new owners in the form of dividends was about $21 billion.
However, his calculations don't consider if dividends would have been as high had the companies remained in public ownership. There's renewed debate on the merits of opinion polls around election time after Winston Peters repeated his call for a 4-week ban on political polls. Political scientist and polling expert Rob Salmon says that a ban's not a great idea.
Whether we want to bring legislative restrictions to bear on that, in my view, is an unwieldy restriction on freedom of speech and is not justified by the amount of damage that this does in New Zealand.
A male Queensland fruit fly has been found in a trap in Auckland, and biosecurity staff are now trying to find out how serious the problem is. Primary Industries Minister David Carter says countries who take our fruit exports could stop immediately.
They could put up the barriers of any fruit that's on the way now. More likely, because we have this transparency with them, they will give us a period of time to analyse whether we're dealing with a single fruit fly or whether we're dealing with a population.
Solid Energy will soon announce an update on its proposed purchase of Pike River Coal's assets. It's meeting with families in Greymouth tonight. The state-owned company's intention to buy the mine was welcomed as a big step towards the recovery of the 29 victims. US President Barack Obama has announced his belief that same-sex couples should be allowed to marry, prompting hopes Australia would change its law. However, Prime Minister Julia Gillard says she's already made her position clear and remains opposed to gay marriage. A roadside blast in Syria's restive south has hit troops escorting UN observers into Daraa. It comes a day after envoy Kofi Annan warned his peace plan could be the last chance to avoid civil war. Indonesian search and rescue authorities have found the wreckage of the Russian Sukhoi Superjet 100, which disappeared while on a demonstration flight south of Jakarta. There are no signs that any of the 48 people on board survived. Finally, we're in the middle of Fair Trade Fortnight, and Darren Fraser of Mica Clothing is challenging Kiwis to think beyond chocolate and coffee.
I think every product we buy, we need to think about how it's made. The big fair trade products in New Zealand are the coffee and the chocolate, but there's also a range of other products that are now available, and clothing is one. Sports balls, you can buy shoes, you can buy bananas. So there's a whole range of products, which is fantastic.
Those are the headlines from the RBG News Centre. Ka kite anō.